Hello and welcome. This is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Today I'm going to share with you this simple shaker card, and I want to, before we jump into that, invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that so you don't miss out on future projects. My channel is about all things paper crafting. Let's go ahead and get into today's project. So I am loving this whale suite. I don't know why, I'm just somewhat obsessed with it. But these beautiful sequins we're going to use for the shaker card, and I'm just really loving the paper. I like that they're just these scenery backgrounds, so they're kind of already done. You can just put even a sentiment on it and be done. But we're going to use the sentiment and the turtle and the seahorse today on this card. For some reason, when I saw this set, and it got me thinking about a submarine and a porthole and kind of looking out and what you might see. So I'm just lining up here the circle die to kind of capture what I want to see through that porthole, picking the best part of the paper, what I caught my eye. So you can use whatever you like. You could do this, of course, without the paper and just do a stamped background too. So I'm using a couple of different colors. I'm using the Smoky Slate and Basic Gray, and I've got two dies, and I actually got the wrong ones there. I'm going to bring in the correct one. I wanted to go two levels apart. So those circle dies are not the ones right next to each other, but the largest one and then the third largest one to create a circle. It's going to give us that porthole look. When I was thinking about this, it brought me back to my childhood and going to Disney World. And I don't know if any of you have been there and been on that ride. And it's, I can't remember, I don't know if it's 10,000 leagues, 20,000 leagues. I don't remember. So many leagues. If you know how many leagues, put it down in the comment below for me. But I was obsessed with that ride. I thought it was so cool that we were under the water in a submarine and going along. So this kind of brought back fun memories, and I wanted to capture that with that porthole looking out and seeing a little bit of scenery. So I'm going and using my scoreboard, and I'm scoring it at 1/2 inch, 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5 inches. And just to give some texture to what I'm envisioning as the wall of the submarine if you're inside. Sure, it doesn't look like any real submarine, but that's okay. This is my version. So I'm taking some Distress Oxide, and I'm just giving a little bit of texture and shading on there. And that helps those score lines to kind of pop off of the page a little bit more as well. So just using a really light hand. I don't want to get a lot on there. I don't want to get a lot of marks and stuff, but I'll put the color, because I'm not remembering right now, I'll put the color that I use down in the links below. With all the products, I try and give you those links to make it easy for you. And so I'm just doing a real kind of light cover there, and I'm going to put that away here just a moment. Sorry, this is taking a little bit longer. I decided not to speed this up. But I hope you can tell that it's got that texture. And I'm not worried about if I've got splotches on there, because, you know, it's not going to be perfect on the inside. So I'm figuring out about where I want my hole to be for the porthole. And then I did make that panel a little bit longer. So can you see the little dots on there? That paper, when I put it through the scoreboard, sometimes I tend to get little indentations at the bottom. So I like to make, if I'm doing straight lines like that, make it a little bit longer than necessary in case I need to trim it down. So I just trimmed that 1/4 inch extra off, brought that back to my die cutting machine, the Big Kick, and then I ran that through. Now I'm just gonna dry fit this and see where I want that image, make sure it's gonna fit through the porthole on there once I get it lined up. And we're going to do a little something that I'm hoping is going to make it look a little bit more like a porthole to you guys. I thought it worked pretty well. So we're going to put a little adhesive on this, and I'm going to put this right down to the back of my card here. And trying to get that approximately. I made sure I made this bigger than that hole in there by a couple of levels just to give me some extra wiggle room when I'm putting that down. And don't have to stress about it too much. And I wanted to do a little bit of stamping, so I'm bringing in that turtle, and I'm actually gonna stamp that with a pear pizzazz, and I'm gonna go right off of that. Normally I'd put some backing paper on there, and that's what I was thinking about doing, and I thought, oh, well, hey, I don't need to worry about it because that part of the card's gonna be hidden by our front panel anyway. So I'm just stamping off right onto the base of the card. And then I'm bringing in an alcohol marker and just putting some yellow tones on there to fill that in so we don't see all that blue coming through, and just give some extra dimension to them by having the two tones on the turtle. And then I'm bringing in some Calypso coral and going to stamp that seahorse. And I love there's so many different colors of seahorses. I had a hard time deciding what color I wanted to go with, and really thought about doing the purples because, you know, I love my purple, and decided that I'd stick with the corals to go with that coral piece down there, the plant. And then I don't have a blend in the Grapefruit Grove. I wanted something a couple shades lighter, and I thought my marker was going to be a little bit too dark. So I'm just taking some of that ink from my ink pad, putting it on my block, and then I'm using a blender pen to color that in. It's a great way to get more use out of your ink pads. You can use your blender pen and pick up all the colors of your inks without having to have the markers. And if you want more color, you just keep laying down more layers with it. And you can use those blender pens over and over. You just wipe off that pen on a piece of paper, and that color will come out, and you can transfer it to a new color. So you don't have to have one for every color. Then I'm using some adhesive strips and just wrapping that around the outside edge there, because I want to make sure it's not peeking through my window. And my strip was not quite long enough, so I'm going to cut a little extra strip. These are great. Make it so much easier. If you do want to use, if you want to use thicker piece, like wider pieces of foam, just a little trick, go ahead and take that top piece of the backing paper off as well, and it's going to bend for you a little bit easier, but these skinny ones really bend real nice. You can also cut your foam tape down as well, so it's not so wide. And I'm going to do that in a little bit with some of the backing here. So I'm bringing in my embossing buddy, and I just want to, I'm not going to emboss in here, but I want to have that powder go in there, and I'm rubbing it around so it kind of goes onto the edges of that foam tape. So it's going to keep all of those sequins from getting stuck on the sides. And I like to have, when I'm doing a shaker card, I like to go ahead and glue some of the sequins down in place. So it helps to not have all of it drop down to the bottom. If that makes sense, you're going to at least have those ones you glued, but usually some of the others are going to catch on there too. And I just don't like when my shaker card's totally empty because everything fell to the bottom until you shake it. So I'm just going to adhere a few of those on to the back of my panel. And you can do as few or as little. I wouldn't do a whole lot of them because then the sequins are going to get all caught up on those. But, you know, 3 to 5 of them usually is a good amount to put on there. And then I'm going to just dump in some more of those sequins. I love the little ones that look like seashells. And then, oh, one's getting away. That one's trying to run away there. And I'm going to peel off that backing paper, and this is when I realized, oh, I should have left this on until I had my front panel ready to go. So this is where I hope that I don't knock that while I'm finishing the front portion and the rest of the foam tape to give us dimension. I'm taking a piece of acetate, and I just cut a square so that I have lots of extra, but not so much that's going to go past the edges of the panel. That way I'm not having to worry about exactly how much to cut. It makes life so much easier to do it this way. And since we're not popping the whole shaker up on top, we can do it that way. So I'm going to just put some foam tape down. I did speed this part of the video up so you don't have to just watch me fussing with the foam tape and wonder why I did not get my long-handled scissors out, because that would have been way easier, but apparently I wanted a challenge tonight. So I did put a couple of those skinny strips there. That's why I had to cut that down on the sides, because I didn't want to have that foam tape poking out when I put my panel on. And this one did not want to come off, so even with my take your pick tool, I was having a hard time fussing with that. So we're going to pull those off. Almost got it done. There we go. And then going to put this panel onto the front, making sure to give me a nice even border across there. And I purposely went with these deeper colors just because I wanted the whole focus to be on that panel. So I'm going to glue that circle frame around there, and here's where I'm hoping it starts looking a little bit more like a porthole. If you have silver pearls, that would be ideal. I had some somewhere. I don't know what I've done with them. So in a pinch, if you don't have those, I love having white pearls, because most of them, wherever you get them from, you can do some coloring with your alcohol blends, work really nice to add color on. So I colored them with my light gray. I tried the dark and it was a little too dark, but yeah, I thought that just gave those little, like the rivets that you would have in a porthole there. And then I had pre-stamped and embossed with some white embossing powder from Ranger. And so I stamped and embossed that, and have put that panel on there. And because we have dimension on the back where we're popping up for the shaker card, I chose not to put more dimension on there and just glue that straight down. And then I'm going to decorate the inside using some more stamps from the stamp set. I'm using that seaweed and bringing back in my Pear Pizzazz, and going to stamp once at full color and then do a second generation ink by stamping off and then going on to get a little bit lighter color on there. And I think if I was to do this again, I would have probably liked to move that down and get some more different heights, but I didn't, and I still think it looks all right. That Calypso coral I used on the coral piece, and then I wanted to put a little bit more of that seaweed in, bring some more color down on the left-hand side. So I did, again, one at full strength and then one at the second generation stamping. So, and that's the inside of our card, and still plenty of room to write. We'll go ahead and adhere that in there. If you haven't come over to my Facebook group, I'm going to put a link down below. This is still part of my 30-day challenge for June, and we're having a lot of fun over there. So if you want to pop on over and be a part of that, I'd love to have you be a part of my crafting group. So there's our fun shaker card, and decided I wasn't sure if I want to put some more, a little bit more embellishments down on that panel. That sentiment strip, not the panel, the sentiment strip. And I thought about the sequins, but again, just going to keep it more simple and put some more of those pearls on there. And of course, I'm doing them in threes because that's what I do. Well, I tend to do most of my embellishments in threes. I'll have definitely odds, but usually threes. So until we meet again, make sure you grab your paper, stamp, and ink and do something creative.